Welcome to the fourth episode of Why Choose Class. I'm Allie, your host, and this is episode 4 of our 6-episode series highlighting what makes the College of Letters, Arts, and Social Sciences, aka Class, at Cal Poly Pomona, such a supportive and engaging place to learn. So far, we've talked about the mission and values of Class, how students grow academically and professionally, and the support systems in place to help students succeed. Today, we're shifting our focus to the classroom and the people who guide students through it. I'm excited to be joined by a panel of Class faculty with professors. We have Professor Karen, Professor Laura, and Professor Gil. They'll share how they support students, what they want prospective students to know, and the reassurance they offer to students starting their college journey. Let's dive in. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. And would you guys be able to briefly tell me what you teach and something that excites you in your discipline?
Sure. I'm Laura Epperson, and I'm an assistant professor in the Theater and New Dance department. I focus in theater for young people, theater and community, and theater for social change, so creating a lot of original theater in classes, outside of classes. And one of the things that excites me about my field and my work is that creating things collaboratively inherently builds community and builds connections that I think can transcend the thing that's being created, but that are pretty unique and special because of how they're formed.
Nice.
Hi, I am Hyungjin Gil. I'm an assistant professor in communication department. We have 3 different options in our department: communication studies, public relations, and multimedia journalism. And I teach in the multimedia journalism option. If I were to answer the question of what excites me in our field, the field of journalism is evolving very fast these days. So my job is to make sure that to prepare my students for their career after graduation. Journalism nowadays is so much more than just writing for newspapers. They can broadcast for TV audiences, or produce a podcast, or convey complex scientific information for the general audience. So anything that has to do with communicating, telling a story to the mass audience, and the opportunity is growing. So that's something that I really enjoy about being a multimedia journalism professor these days.
Nice, thank you.
Hi, I'm Karen Tejas-Chitis. I'm an associate professor in English and modern languages. I teach in the graduate school and undergraduate. And graduate level, I teach rhetorical history, writing pedagogy, and reading pedagogy, but also cultural rhetoric. So that's where my studies are. In undergraduate work, I teach more practical classes like writing for the professions, and literacy, language, and cultural practices. Something that's really exciting me about my field right now is that we are at this intersection of lived experience, of language, and of power. So we're asking the questions about like whose stories matter and whose voice matters. And then we loop that into how does writing like fit into all of that, especially when we think about like writing as medicine, like writing as this medicine for our souls. How do we get through like a present moment using writing? How do we apply it practically, and then in theoretical ways that are going to make a difference for people to come?
Thank you for that. I think writing is really important nowadays, especially with ChatGPT around.
Yes.
Dangerous.
Yes.
And would you guys be able to tell me one misconception that students often have about your majors and what's the reality?
I think one misconception that folks that are choosing to study theater can have, or sometimes it's not those people, but the people around them, is that you need to have a backup plan, and that like theater. So like I have a lot of students that are like, I have to have this double major because my parents are making me, or they might be majoring in something else and then minoring in theater because they're like, what I want to do is theater, but I have to have a backup plan. And I'm all about cross-disciplinary exploration and do the double major, do the minor, all of that. But I also think that like building your life as an artist and using the skills that you get with a theater degree can be much more expansive than what people think. And I have colleagues and friends from all different levels of my studies that have theater degrees that are doing all sorts of things, some of them in the theater field and some of them in wildly different areas. And I think the skills that they gained in the various intersections of studying that I've done with them in studying theater and communal creation and things really can expand into lots of different areas. So and the cross-disciplinary interests are gonna help that build. So that's why be a major, be a minor, study as much as you can, but don't feel like you have to believe the narrative about how to be a professional in any particular area. Kind of as you were saying, Dr. Gill, there's so much space at this point to build your career and your life on your own terms. And I think my field, theater, but all of these fields and the space of the humanities in general is a great place to learn those skills and curiosities that will fuel that.
That was beautiful.
One of the misconceptions about majoring in journalism is that you only major in multimedia journalism if you want to become a reporter that works in a newsroom. So that's one of the biggest misconceptions, because if you think about that core thing that we teach in the department is the art of storytelling. So storytelling, do we know how to identify the right target audience? Are we curious about what's happening around us? And do we know how to identify the right topic based on news values? And do we know how to tell a coherent story in a concise manner to a group of mass audience? And our students realize very quickly that what they're learning in our department, most if not all of the things that we teach in our department are transferable skills. So of course our alumni, they work for a magazine like People Magazine, or some of them are sports writers in local papers, but also we have students that are working in ad agencies, PR agencies. We have students who took those skills to law school, and they become successful researchers. So I am a graduate of a journalism program, and I became a researcher who studies political communication. So the art of storytelling is a very transferable skill, and you're not limited to the jobs that a newsroom offers, such as a newspaper writer. So we're not confined to that.
Nice.
Wow. It's almost like Dr. Gill was in my head. There's so much overlap. In English, a lot of the big misconception, I say a lot of people think that you have to be a teacher, you've got to grow up to be a writer. And something I heard really young was that if you're gonna be an English major, you have to have another income stream. Like there was just no way to make a living. And there's such a huge misconception, because we do have students also, like Dr. Gill said, who go into policy writing. They leave rhetoric and go to get law degrees. We have students who work in UD design and in marketing. They also, the really happy ones right now, are working in publishing. That's a really great place for our students to go, ones that want to be editors or want to work for, like Dr. Gill said, for magazines. So there is this wide world that needs writing right now. And I think, back to the discussion of AI, people are remembering, they had forgotten for a moment, but I think they're remembering that so many fields out there need that transferable skill of writing, needing to be able to speak well, but also to write well. And I think that once you get into the major, the faculty is really great about reminding you of all the possibilities.
Yeah, well, thank you for your answers. I loved them.
And one thing that I would like to add is that I think all of us are constantly monitoring what's going on in the industry, because we care so much about student career after graduation. So we want them to succeed. So we're closely monitoring the changing media landscape for in my case. So we offer these different courses. So in the last few years, we came up with courses like podcasting, sports communication that combines PR and journalism elements. We also offer Spanish media minor in our department that combines Spanish language learning with media courses like media design, again, sports communication, and social media, which is another course. So we're adapting to the changing environment. So I guess we're constantly monitoring those to I guess counter those misconceptions very actively.
Yeah. I feel like I'm being convinced to join somebody's class right now. Like, I don't know.
Always welcome.
Yes, absolutely.
And what's one thing you would say that surprised you the most about students that you've taught in class?
I'll start this time.
Awesome.
Just mix it up.
Yeah.
Laura
Love
doesn't
it.
feel all this pressure. I moved here in 2020, and I come from a Southwest border university, from New Mexico State University. And I guess I had this idea when I graduated that students were students, and they were all wonderful, beautiful humans. But when I got to Cal Poly, it was not long before I realized and was surprised by how resilient and how dedicated our students are. So many of our students are managing responsibilities that are at home, like to family. They're managing jobs, and so many, like myself, are first gen. And so I was not surprised that students and they do what they're supposed to do. But I was really taken aback by their dedication to the classroom, by their dedication also to creating community. I can see these cohorts, and they're so beautiful. They latch onto each other, and so many of them really love to include each other. There's just this great big idea that we're a family at Cal Poly, and I know that sounds so squishy and touchy-feely, like, is that, everyone would say that, but no, truly, I can feel the community building in my classes, and like by week 6, you just know that we're a family, and it makes me want to come back every semester and see what else is it's gonna arise, and the relationships that are gonna be formed.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Thanks.
So beautiful.
Yeah, I think kind of similarly, I was thinking about just how much students are doing and how much they're holding. And, I think that's true of a student in general. Like a student in some ways is an impossible job, but that's what makes it exciting, right? But I feel like, especially here at CPP, just the amount of like school things they're doing, classes they're taking, family care, jobs, and yet are still like signing up for this club or hosting this thing or like making space for their peers and investing in the community in these really authentic ways that it feels, I think that, as you said, Dr. Karen, like the resilience, but also just like the determination, because it's exhausting to think about. And yet they're like showing up, I've got like rehearsals until 10 p.m. and they're there after having been at an internship and taking classes in their other major earlier in the day and like worked a shift, and are still like showing up to invest in their learning and invest in the experiences of their peers, which is really special to be a part of.
I agree. Our students go through a lot. So a lot of them are working. I've had a student once, and he drives 3 hours to get here. And, I really appreciate that. He's never late to class. But if you read the Poly Post, our student newspaper, we also have our student magazine called the Poly Pulse. But if you read the articles, the quality of those articles, so like for instance, the way they reported on Southern California fires last year, I mean, the quality of reporting is just mind blowing. Not just the quality, but the way they meet the deadline. And if you meet the deadline in journalism, that means that despite everything that goes on in your life, I know they go through a lot. You prioritize that over all those things because you love to tell a story, because you care about the story so much. That's really touching, and the way they apply what they've learned in my class to the actual reporting. That's also, and they should be very proud of themselves.
Oh my gosh, as a student, I feel like you guys are talking about me right now.
We are.
What's a project, experience, or assignment your students have worked on that you're particularly proud of?
Would it be okay if I talked about 2? About two.
please.
It's an old one and a recent one. The old one was in literacy, language, and cultural practices. We started what was called Bronco Book Fairies, and we had this the student illustrator on campus did this great like rendition of Billy Bronco with fairy wings, and he had this box of donated books. And so we had this logo on everything. And so students took up book donations all over campus, and we dropped them like book fairies and tied up with ribbon, and tied up with yarn, like these packages all over. We put on social media where these books were being dropped. And like when you think about community literacy, it's pretty exciting because you know that writing and reading are communal, and they're beautiful when they're done communally. But we had this knowledge that we were coming together to create a literacy event on campus that hadn't been there before. Then we started getting emails and stories from students who were like, I found a book that I really needed next semester, and I was able to get that for free. Or like, I was able to sell the books that I needed to get something I really needed. So thank you. And so that was a really wonderful, gratifying project that ran for 3 years. And most recently, I'm teaching representations and realities of La Frontera, or the border. It's a class that I wrote. And we're only 3 weeks in, but in week 1, students created border maps of not just the geographical borders in their lives, but like identity, sexuality, language, economic, like all the different borders. And then they worked out like what's an actual border and what's a barrier, and where do they see themselves, later in it. And I got to know very quickly in week 1 so many things about these students, and it was so enlightening to know that in this class they were giving an opportunity to think about some things they hadn't thought about before, but more importantly to think about where they were going next. Like it wasn't just one of those kind of activities that like, okay, now that you know this, now what? Like, great, that was fun. It was a lot more about like, okay, where are we going from here? And they could see their college education as an investment in crossing some of those borders. And I think that was where like the big aha magic moment was for me.
Yeah, I want to take both those classes. I want to be a part of those projects. They sound awesome.
I know when you said borders versus like what's a barrier, I was like, wow.
I know, same. And I want to see those maps.
So borders aren't made to be crossed, but barriers can be.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Oh, fascinating. Oh my gosh. When can I enroll? No. I'm currently working on a project with some students. It's like a workshop production for us. So as in the theater department, we produce 2 full productions a semester, and then we always have the final piece that is shared publicly is something that's a workshop. So it might be a play reading, or can look a lot of different ways. And this semester we're devising something. So that means we're building a performance from the ground up. I often describe devising as you're writing the script as you're rehearsing it. And we've got a group of students, and we've just finalized who's actually going to be in the space. And they don't necessarily know each other. Normally when you devise in the professional world, you're like, I want to work with you. You're choosing your collaborators. You're already coming together around a common idea. All sorts of kind of structures are in place, and they aren't doing that. They're, signed up for this project, for this course. And so we're in the process of even deciding what our topic is and figuring out some of the structures of how we want to move forward. And it is, it requires like sitting in discomfort and sitting in disagreement and not, we talk a lot about like generative conflict, and that conflict doesn't have to be a bad thing. And sometimes it can be something where we learn a lot, or we are strengthened on the other side. But it also, in order for it to not cause harm, you have to be really intentional about how you engage in it. And just last night we had a conversation that didn't end up getting resolved, but it opened up, and I felt like it was just exciting to see them starting to lean into this kind of space of unknowing, which is another big part of creating something new and creating it in this way. Is we actually don't know what we're creating. We don't even know what we're creating it about yet, and that, I think, can be unsettling for the most seasoned artist, but especially when it feels connected to school and all of these metrics of success that may or may not be present in the room, but are present in the students' lives. It's been exciting to see them start to like lean into the possibility of the unknown a little bit, and also practicing and modeling disagreement in ways that are still supportive and generous. And I'm excited and nervous and all of the things. that I also hope they are feeling as we're doing something totally brand new to all of us, because it's just with the people that are in the room. So
Yeah, it'll work out.
yeah, it'll be whatever it'll be, and that's what it's supposed to be. So
That's beautiful.
There's so many.
yeah.
There's so many projects that I could talk about, because there are many projects that we like produce throughout the semester, such as like research project. But I'm gonna go with the sports PR project that I have in sports communication class, which is one of the classes that we like. It's one of those eye openers when we pitch, what courses are offered in our department for prospective students. So sports communication, the first half of the course is I teach sports journalism, so how to identify target audience and how to tell a story about a game that just happened based on a scenario. But what I want to talk about is the second half, which is all PR. So basically, students will work in a group of 3 to 4, and then they will identify a city based on their research to propose a brand new franchise on that will play in a given league, whether that's AAA baseball or WNBA, and I have a few other leagues. And what they do is they start from scratch, right? So they do some market research to identify which city needs this team the most, and then they come up with ad messages, and they design their own logo for their team. They come up with the name of the team based on the market research. So I mean, we are surrounded by, if you look at it on social media, like they say, oh, this would look better or that would look better without any research. But the fact that these guys are able to come up with are able to propose a good team based on thorough research, following all ethical guidelines, and to surprise me at the end, that's always a good feeling. And like I always feel like I'm learning from them, because like it's just mind blowing what they show me through those projects. So it's one of those courses that I really enjoy teaching, because I get to learn from my students.
Yeah.
It's a group project, and you know how group projects go. But yeah, it's one of those rare group projects where students love interacting with others.
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah, group projects can be pretty hectic, but that one sounds fun.
It depends on the topic.
Yeah, that is true. Before we wrap up, would you guys like to say anything to any students who might be on the fence about coming to class?
I guess I would just encourage you, if you haven't already, to come visit. There are opportunities, I know, this spring for students to sit in on classes, come attend a performance. The music department has performances, theater department has performances. Sounds like there are cool events in other departments and stuff. And so getting a sense of whether or not the best way to get the sense of a community, I think, is to go to events or go to places where the community is. So come check us out and see if this is the space you want to be.
Yeah, get involved. Take the opportunities. We have Sigma Tau Delta is our English Honor Society. It's a lot of fun. Graduate level, we have GradC, our graduate student or English student association. I think it's really key to just get out there. And go to office hours.
Yeah.
Go to the hours and meet with your professors. They want to hear from you.
Yeah. And even chat about nothing sometimes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely anything that doesn't have to even do with class.
Come sit in our chairs.
You don't have to know how to write or talk or speak like a journalist to join the communication department. If you have any interest in telling the story, or if you're passionate about storytelling and you want your story to be heard by a lot of people, that is the mass audience, this is the right place to join. We are going to make sure that you feel ready and you are ready before you enter the fast-changing job market in the field of journalism. And please contact us, and we'll be happy to connect you with our successful alumni, and we would love to spend time telling you more about what our major has to offer.
Thank you. Well, thank you guys for sharing your perspectives and how you guys help out the students at class. And Hearing directly from faculty really shows how mentorship, accessibility, and connection are central to the class experience. That's all for today's episode of Why Choose Class. In our next episode, we'll be hearing from a panel of class students representing the performing arts, humanities, and social sciences as they share their own journeys and experiences at Cal Poly Pomona. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.